Okay, if you honestly want to know where my stance is when it comes to God, I don't know about this intelligent design stuff, but when it comes to God, I honestly don't understand any definition of the word God. None of them make any sense to me.
You don't,
fail to...
but you don't understand that when people say God, you don't understand. I'm sure you understand that when people say God, that they're referring to an all-powerful, all-knowing, maximal being, right? I mean, that's pretty much common. Hold on. That's a pretty much a common understanding of everyone. When you hear the word God, this is what comes to your mind, right?
The first thing that comes to my mind is obviously all-powerful. Yeah, I'm glad you agree. So obviously God can't exist then, by definition.
How so?
Because all-powerful is a logical fallacy, isn't it?
How?
Do you believe he's out there?
Well, God can't make a mountain. Can God make an unmovable mountain?
Yes.
Dude, that's the old. That's
Well,
that's
yeah,
the
exactly.
old king. That's the old king. Wait, hold on.
Yeah, you know it.
Hold on.
I'm holding on.
Wait. All right, that's the old can God created a rock so big he cannot lift it fallacy.
Ah, yes, of course. The old "can God make a rock so big he cannot lift it" fallacy.
And that's a basic. That's a basic elementary fallacy because that has absolutely nothing to do with power, because a contradiction has nothing to do with power, dude. You're completely invalidating the question when you even ask it from the beginning.
We have a logical God, not an illogical God.
I don't understand the problem, and I'm quite happy for you to explain it to me.
No, the problem is you when you're talking about something like God is by definition infinite. Infinite. You heard the hell when I was sick from it. So if you're trying to say a rock can be bigger than infinity, you're asking about a contradiction. That is illogical, dude.
Can God make an unmovable mountain?
Can God make an unmovable mountain?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course he can.
Can God move the mountain?
That's kind of like turning God into a cartoon on South Park.
Yeah, it's circular reasoning because you're positing something.
No, it's a simple question.
No, it's circular reasoning, and that's why it's a failed argument, because it's positing that something impossible exists. Let me finish. It's positing that something impossible is possible. So you're beginning with a false premise.
The unmovable mountain being the false premise, yeah.
Right.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Thank you for explaining.
The immovable. No, it's circular reasoning because it's positing that something which is impossible is possible.
Why does he have to repeat himself here? Literally makes no sense.
Maybe.
Yeah. I would say that God can create a mountain that man cannot move, certainly, but I mean,
that's what
he cannot make a mountain that he cannot move.
So then he's not all powerful.
We're talking about logic itself.
No, he has.
Saying there are things.
Dude, that has nothing to do with power. You're talking contradictions have nothing to do with power. You're confusing two concepts.
Okay.
Dude.
Okay, let me ask you a different
question.
question.
Can you hear me better? Is there still something wrong with my mic?
It's good now. It's good.
Can God make a more powerful being than himself?
No, he cannot, because by definition, he would not be God if he did.
Well, he's not all powerful then.
Again, that has nothing to.
Okay, I'll try a different one.
Wait a second. That has nothing to do with power. You keep asking contradictory questions. Contradictions and power are not the same thing, dude.
Well, I'm trying my hardest to find a non-contradictory question, so please bear with me. Can he make a being that is the same power as himself? Would that be a contradiction?
No, he cannot.
Why not?
Because look, if he's the greatest conceivable being, then how would he be able to make something exactly like himself if he is the greatest conceivable being?
Well, I don't understand how that does not make him more powerful.
Well, exactly. See, that's what I was trying to point out. You're positing that something impossible is possible, and that's why the question is. That's why the question is a logical error. See?
Yeah, that's another contradiction.
Can God do anything that is impossible?
No, please let me answer this. Let me
God,
answer this.
hold on, Robbie. When we say that God is all powerful, we mean that God can do anything that is consistent within His nature. That's what the question means. It does
Right,
not
yes.
mean it does not mean that God can create a contradiction, because no
God-
such thing exists.
God can do anything that's logically possible. See,
Right.
that's the thing.
Can God
No.
lie?
No man knows God like that, man.
Again,
you ignore-
How can
you're
we ask
ignoring
the
the
question?
other part. You're ignoring the other part of the
Another
equation.
possibility.
He can do whatever is consistent with his nature.
Right, it's not
No, I'm
logically
trying to find
possible
out.
for God to lie.
And for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness.
We can do all things possible.
See,
So
that's the thing. It's not logically possible that God would lie. Therefore, the question is moot.
So he's not all powerful.
No, he is all powerful. It's just that you're asking for something that's logically impossible.
So
Where
he's
do you get? Where do
hang
you
on,
get?
I'm trying to
hold on,
understand.
now.
Impossible.
Where do you get
Hold
this
on, hold on.
idea that all powerful means a contradiction? Where do you get that idea from?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that all powerful is a contradiction in terms. The very term all powerful. That's the whole point that I'm making.
No, it isn't, sir.
Okay, I'm
All
fine.
powerful is not a contradiction in terms. You're placing a contradiction where there is none.
See, consider this. Think about this, Johnny, for a second. If God is a maximal being, then is it logical to believe that God can be illogical?
I
It's
mean,
not.
yeah, of
It's
course.
not, is it? It's not
If you
logical
want
to
to.
believe that God can be illogical.
Yeah,
right?
if he wanted to be, if he chose to be illogical, that's conceivable.
No, because there would always be a logical reason for God doing something that you might think of as illogical. See? So
Yeah,
it's not
that makes
logically possible for God to be illogical. So if you base your premise or your question
So he's
on
not all
something that's
powerful.
logically impossible, the question is circular reasoning and it's moot. See, that's the point we're trying to help you understand.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
problem
that-
is, it's basically what you're saying is a fallacy of complex questions.
It's like asking,
Down
can
to-
there be a square circle?
Not sure if
Yeah.
I'm talking,
Right, that's
you know?
perfect. Yeah, that's exactly what it comes down to. It's either
Can
like
God
asking
make a square
somebody. It's either like asking somebody, "Have you stopped beating your wife today?" Yes or no, or
No,
the
it's not
square
like that at
circle,
all.
something like that.
But the square circle was a better analogy. So can
The
God
square
make
circle, the square circle is a good analogy, but if you understand that God is supposed to be, you know,
Okay,
all
so my
wise,
question-
he's supposed to be wise, and obviously he's not going to be doing something that is logically incoherent to begin with. So by
Well,
setting up a question like that, hold on a second.
Setting
By
up a
setting up,
question,
hold on. By setting up a question like that, it does become a fallacy of complex questioning. So it is equivalent to asking somebody, "Have you stopped beating your wife today?" Because the question is fallacious because you can't give a yes or no answer to that type of question. It's based on ignorance of what God is and His wisdom.
I 100% agree. It's based on ignorance. That's why I'm asking questions. Stop trying to paint me as some kind of person who's like manipulating you with my evil questions. I'm just trying to understand,
Johnny,
all right?
calm down,
Johnny.
calm down. Nobody's trying to do that with you. I'm just saying that the question you're directing is very, very silly, and it's been carrying on for a while.
It's not very.
It's just it's a fallacious question. It's a fallacious question.
I don't understand.
You've been corrected multiple times.
Oh my
and
God.
you kept trying to ask
Hello?
contradictory questions every single time to try to contest the point when you were corrected the first time.
Right, you're really not understanding the fact that I don't understand this, are you? You're really not understanding the fact that my questions are fucking genuine.
Okay, Johnny, but I think the reason why Antonio is pointing that out is because your behavior throughout the last couple of minutes is indicative of somebody who is just trying to, you know.
Trying to what? What am I trying to do? Understand? Am I trying to understand something? Is that why I'm asking questions?
Press or push a certain view that you have, or poison the well, I guess, against Christianity. But the fact that it's fallacious, I think that you should probably move on to a different point already.
The point was given to me about half an hour ago. I was then trying to work out what all-powerful consisted of. So my next question, now that I can finally get to it, was, what you're telling me is all-powerful means that it's got to fit within a neat little box. He's all-powerful within these confines. That's what you're saying.
Well, anything which isn't contradictory, which isn't contradictory, which isn't contradictory, would have to fit in the confines of non-contradiction. It's not merely just, you know, a neat little box, as you say, because that's kind of an oversimplification fallacy right there. Anything which isn't contradictory would have to be consistent. So
yeah, God's not going to do anything. God's not going to do anything inconsistent with His nature, and you're coming into with the question as if He's going to do something inconsistent with His nature.
I'm asking if he's able, not if he's willing. So here's where I've come from, and here's where
He's not going to do anything inconsistent with His nature. For example, the Scripture says that God can't lie.
You've just said
So
that.
it's not that.
You have to repeat yourself, mate. I get you the first time. I'm English. I'm not American. I'm used to, you know, listening and taking information.
Okay, but then the first time that when I give you an answer to something, you should just
hear
the answer.
So let me.
Then it's not ignored and move on to something else.
I did, and then it got repeated a lot of times. Okay, so here's what happened, right? I asked the usual fallacy, apparently, and then I got explained to me that that's an impossibility because obviously there's no such thing as a movable mountain. That makes perfect sense to me. I then carried on going down and down the list until we got to the point where there wasn't very much left that I would consider to be under the definition of all-powerful. My personal definition of all-powerful was the first one, and every single time I've been coming down and down the list, okay, so he's less powerful than being able to do impossible things, etc., etc., until we've come to a confined box where you could say that about any being.
How could we say, okay, so you're saying that anything at all, anything at all, wait, so the things that God, hold on a second, the thing that God does, speaking things into existence, can people do that?
Okay, so what I'm saying is,
No, don't avoid the question. You just said that you can apply that to everybody.
I apologize.
So the things things consistent with God's nature.
When I said any being, what I meant was we could come across an alien race that's a third civilization alien race that is able to manipulate stars, in which case they'd be able to make their own planets. They'd be able to do everything that you assign to God.
How do you know that?
Because
how do you know that anyways? How do you know that anyways?
Because it's science by definition. It's just a definitional thing, like a circle is a circle.
How do you know that they could do that though?
I'm a physicist. When we physicists look for alien civilizations, we don't look for little green men. We look for energy consumption. We look for type 1, type 2, and type 3 civilizations. A type 1 civilization has the power of an entire planet. They control the weather. They mine the oceans. They control volcanoes. They control earthquakes. Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon would be an example of a type 1 civilization, a planetary civilization in space. A type 2 civilization in space controls the output of a star. They play with stars. They are immortal. Nothing known to science can destroy a type 2 civilization. Ice ages can be modified. Meteors, comets can be deflected. Even the death of their sun is not a problem. They can either move their planet, reignite their star, or simply find a new star in space. This is a type 2 civilization. A typical example of a type 2 civilization comes from science fiction. The Federation of Planets, Star Trek, would be based on a typical type 2 civilization. And then we have type 3. A type 3 civilization is galactic. They control the energy output of an entire star. For me, this is very interesting because a type 3 civilization would be able to control the Planck energy. The Planck energy is the energy at which space becomes unstable. Space begins to boil at the Planck energy. The Planck energy is a quadrillion times higher than the Large Hadron Collider, and gateways, perhaps, wormholes, doorways, portals, perhaps to other dimensions, begin to open up for a Type 3 civilization.